In an experiment, rats are placed isolated in a cage and are given 2 water bottles to drink from. One normal water, H2O, and the other one was water laced with heroin or cocaine. And as you might imagine, as it might seem obvious, the mouse chooses to drown itself in the overstimulation or overdose almost 100% of the time. And there's a second scenario, same experiment, dependent variables, where mice are put as a community within a mutual cage. But the difference is that in this cage, mice are mating, they're socializing, and they just create a community of mice basically who live together. And although they're given the same 2 options, so the normal water or water with heroin, the overdose rates drop. And you might be like, okay, maybe they dropped by 5%, 10%, maybe 15%. Believe it or not, they dropped by close to 99 points, so close to 100%. This experiment is called the Rat Park by Dr. Bruce Alexander in the 1970s. You can search it up, it's called the Rat Park. And this shows that your addiction or bad habit might be an adaptation to your environment. You might not think that this impacts you, you might think, oh, that's mice. How am I supposed to translate that to my life? Knowing that it's not similar at all. Let me give you a personal example. Have you ever been on vacation and your screen time just dropped from 6-7 hours a day to close to 1 hour, maybe less than 1 hour, and you didn't even miss it? You didn't go, oh fuck, I wish I had Wi-Fi here. Why is that? That's because you didn't need your phone to stimulate you. Now this might seem obvious, and you might be like, okay, I kind of had this thing where I didn't need my phone, or I used it for half an hour. Maybe you were out with your boyfriend, girlfriend, or maybe family members. This shows that your environment, the people you stimulate yourself around, are what controls the behavior that drives you for the overstimulation to that bad habit. So some of you guys will already start coping by thinking, oh, but the people around me are bad and I can't change them, so I'll have to wait a couple of years, and that's not for me, and what he's saying, all that bullshit. Because that's what people do. People are the best at lying to themselves, because that's a way of protecting yourself from the bad things from doing, right? Discipline is bad, it's tough. So naturally, your self-defense mechanism will stop you from that and make you more comfortable. So that's just a side note. When are you going to realize that excuses are the ones keeping you from action? This is a very important thing. That's why I kind of stopped for you guys to think. But if you wouldn't be watching a video on how to beat an addiction, you wouldn't really be addictive. Does that make sense? So the fact that this video kind of talks to you already shows that maybe you are part of the group that needs to hear this. And as someone, everybody's addicted in something in this society. For some people it's the phone, Instagram. For some people it's something like porn, which is even more extreme. This video speaks more for those who are addicted to things that are found amongst the society more commonly. I'm not giving references to people who might be addicted to hard drugs like cocaine, because I have no experiences with anything like that. So I'm here to hear you from your bad habits or addictions regarding, for example, a phone addiction, or maybe you're struggling with porn or something like that, something ridiculous that you can't stop, and that you're coping yourself that you can stop but can't. So after some readjustment to the camera, regarding the changing your environment, if you're lonely in this generation, it's your fault. And there's more lonely people in this generation percentage-wise than there's ever been. If there's more people than there's ever been, so something doesn't quite add up. And all it takes to make friends, especially if you're a man, that's even more simple, is to be in a social environment, whether it's a club, gym, or maybe educational-wise, like school. I don't really recommend going to clubs or anything. I haven't made any friends from there because I haven't gone. Even if it wasn't that easy, even if you're like, oh, well, that's actually not that easy because at gym, you don't really talk, you're with headphones. Keep making excuses, like I said. Whenever you do stop making excuses, come back to this video, because that's where your action will hit. Are you going to accept that and just be like, okay, well, it's tough. Okay, it's tough, so what? Even if it's harder for you than everybody else. Does that really change anything? Does that mean you get to not stop it and just live a loser? I mean, It's just common sense to me, and some of you are really lacking this wake-up call. And I'm not meaning this in any type of disrespectful way, because everybody's been in that scenario in this modern life, in my opinion. So yeah, thinking it's easy, thinking attracting friends is easy is in your favor. So instead of thinking of all the excuses and hard things, if I were you, I would think to myself, maybe I'll give it a go. The best way, here comes the advice, the best way to cut something out of your life is to starve it. Stop showing a big reaction to that thing. Stop trying to think, oh fuck, like what if I don't do this and it gets worse. Stop thinking negatively. And I had a breakup video talking about how to move on from a breakup, where I mentioned that you do need to let yourself feel that pain so your heart accepts it. And before some of you guys complain and say, oh, you're hypocritical and what you're saying doesn't add up. So every situation requires your heart to accept it before you can move on, right? But certain things like a breakup take more time, rather than stopping video games, for example, because your mind can visualize that easily. Whereas a breakup, a person you've been together for 10 years, fucking 5 years, even 2 years, your heart's more addicted to it, your heart's more used to it, so it takes more time. I also wrote some notes down that I wanted to mention, but I think I did that already. So now most of you guys thinking, that's not that simple, and I have this bond and I can't break without this, whatever, I can't break this addiction, and he doesn't know what I'm going through. Let me put it in simpler terms, because you're so special than everybody else and nobody gets who you are and how difficult it is for you. What you can do instead is focus on your mental health. I'm not saying this as some psychologist, focus on your mental health, do this, exercise, and you will be fine in 10 minutes. I'm saying this in a way that if you're struggling with a bad habit, it's mostly that you have a bad mental state already. So if I, for example, were to be someone addicted to porn, which I'm not, a big probability of this addiction might be coming from maybe insecurities, maybe gym, maybe this and that. So reflect within yourself, and please just journal for 10 minutes about what it might be that keeps you there. Some people are struggling with stuff like some people are struggling with Instagram. Why? Because they want to keep their brains in this stimulation, because otherwise staying in real life would hurt them too much. They would just be too bored. Whereas a person being happy with himself is fine with being stimulated by real life, which is less stimulating, realistically. I'm not going to tell you that real life is more stimulating or anything like that. Stop having high expectations and then crashing down. Once you try starving yourself of the bad habits, you'll feel this feeling of craving it. You guys probably know what I mean. You guys will be like, maybe have lower energy or whatever. It might be like, oh fuck, like I don't want to get out of bed today. It's how you might feel, because that's how I felt. Usually that's what makes quitting the habit so hard, right? But if you switch your perspective and realize that you feeling the like fuck, like I can't do this anymore, or this is so boring, like I just don't have anything else to do. This is progress, and this is the sign that your whole dynamic is changing. There is a saying called, pain is just weakness leaving your body. And reflecting on that will make it much easier. Maybe stop the video, or maybe close it completely and just think about what I said. But let me think. I think I covered everything. Just realizing that pain basically makes you stronger and makes you progress is not a bad thing, is what makes you grow, really. Just realizing, okay, me feeling this pain is a sign of progress and me getting better. I promise this will be addictive. You'll be like, fuck, like, how can I make myself starve more? Because you'll literally start getting addicted to the feeling. You'll be like, fuck, I want more. I want more. But yeah. Also, one last thing before I shut this video. Don't think that your progress reset if you did that activity again. Whether it's someone struggling with, like I said, your Instagram time, and if you keep reducing your screen time from 6 hours a day to 4, but there's one day where you look at it for 6.5, don't think your progress reset, because that's not how that works. You have to progressively deload it, and just having let's say this is the graph, okay, we're progressively deloading the addiction. If there's variables that are maybe outside there, maybe for one day you have only 6.5 hours, maybe for one day you have half an hour, this does not really change the slope. This just means that just give yourself room for mistakes, because you're human and you're not a robot programmed to just go down. Does that make sense? Stop beating yourself up over it and focus on your mental health, also your environment. If you need advice or anything like that, try to talk to me. I have a very cheap, almost free one-on-one meeting that you can have with me, where I either talk to you like a person, or you want advice depending on how you want the meeting to go too. So you can sign that up in the description. Peace.